So since November 17th, the Clippers are 28-8, which is the best record in the league over that span. They have looked like one of the best teams in the league for a while now, but as we saw against Cleveland, they're not invincible. So looking ahead to the playoffs, what would you say are the Clippers' biggest weaknesses? And are there any teams that you've already identified as being a tough matchup?
I think any team with legitimate size is going to be difficult, especially if that size does not compromise their perimeter talent. And that's the difference between a team like Cleveland and Minnesota, teams that they lost to in January, versus a team like Brooklyn. Like they have to be able to match up with these teams. They can outshoot anybody, but the possession game is important. I hate saying it's a make or miss league because it dismisses the other factors of basketball significantly. The Clippers are going to outshoot pretty much every team that they face, especially with the way that they're playing and the talent that they have to play with. But if they lose the rebound battle, things get a little tougher. If the Clippers are donating possessions, turning the ball over at will, and they're not getting those turnovers back on the other end, that's going to affect them. If you got young guards who can just, I don't care if we give up a point, we're just going to keep pushing the pace, get to the paint, then the Clippers can be vulnerable. And so I think there are people who understand this in the Clippers organization. I think they would like to see if they can get a little bit bigger because in the West, you got to deal with at the top of the bracket, Minnesota's huge, Denver is huge, and they just won the championship. And then below that, everyone's going to keep their eye on the Lakers. I mean, the Lakers are goofy and dysfunctional, but at the same time, the Lakers are capable of beating anybody, in my estimation. So if you match up with them in a first round series, and you're not getting calls because
Mhm.
we can objectively see how Lakers games have been officiated for 2 years with Darvin Ham as the head coach.
Mhm.
You are going to, that's going to compromise you in a 7 game series. So I think that's something to watch for over the next week. I think that's something that the Clippers are going to try and, they're going to look at these teams that are bigger than them as real tests to see how they can beat them, and not the bad big. They're big teams that are not good, and it's like their perimeter talent is so overwhelming that they're not worried about them. But the teams that are both big and have enough perimeter talent, those are the teams that the Clippers are going to look at those games a lot more closely than the other games this rest of the regular season.
Hmm.
We're a week away from the trade deadline. The Clippers already made their big move, trading for James Harden. Expecting a quiet deadline, and if they did want to make a move, what type of player is this team missing? Who would they go after?
The fact that they made the James Harden trade is, you're right, Andrew, it's their big move, but it also left them bare at a position of weakness right now. I thought the power forward position was not a strength of theirs last year, but it was deep. They had all those guys. They had Morris, they had Covington, they had Batum. The weakness came in the fact that they felt like they had to play all those guys, and all those guys were in different stages of decline. I thought Nico played the best, but also Nico was the oldest. Marcus played the most over time, but also probably declined the sharpest as far as what his, they beat the hell out of Marcus. He was the guy playing the four. He was the guy taking the physical matchup so that Kawhi and Paul could play on the perimeter and save their energy on that end of the floor. And then Rocco was brought in to be, a defensive playmaker, but that didn't fit how the Clippers were playing over, especially last year. Rocco would have been a great fit for this year's team. And it's ironic that all three of those guys are nursing various injuries right now in Philadelphia. So PJ Tucker has been at the end of the bench. When he got here, he first of all he was starting in Philadelphia,
Mhm.
so there was that. When he got here, he was a rotation player, and he got phased out completely by the end of November. But Teron Lue thought about starting him instead of starting Terrence Mann because
Mhm.
the team believes that PJ is still capable of performing well when he's with the best players, when he's with stars,
Mhm.
so that his offensive limitations don't matter as much, and then defensively you can get what you get out of PJ, and again have winning lineups. If there's a team in the league that values that and can take on his contract, then I'd love to see what team that is. Like, I'm skeptical, but it's clear that the Clippers would like to do right by PJ. It's clear that PJ would very much like to play somewhere that will play him. And then you have to look at the equation of the Clippers really need that power forward, just a real option. They gave Kobe Brown a shot, the 30th pick in this year's draft, and Kobe is college experienced. He's mature. He's still a rookie, and he showed that time and time again. So I don't think Kobe's getting a real chance to be in the rotation again this year. Amir Coffey's been great, but Amir is more of a 3 than a 4. The Clippers should know that better than anyone else because they tried to bulk Amir up to play the 4, and it messed Amir up for a whole year. And guys like Brandon Boston, it's like that. You know, you need size. You have a surplus of wings. You need more. Power forward size. Yes, even in a league where people don't like acknowledging positions. So that is really the area to target. They are set everywhere else, but I don't know how you find that player because, as it was told to me, 4s who can play, score on 3 levels on offense and play inside and outside on defense are usually called max players. So good luck.
Right.
Yeah. Is the PJ thing just that he just can't do anything offensively?
It's the defense too. Like the offense is glaring, but PJ's going to be 39 in May. PJ's not keeping up with perimeter guys on one end, and PJ's not rebounding well enough to play the 4 in the paint, like 6'5". Like PJ would often be giving up and ones, and a lot of those and ones came off of offensive rebounds for opponents. So that's the thing. If he's in your second unit and he's out there with 3 or all the reserves, those are losing lineups. So that's what we saw consistently in November. And now it's just a matter of respect. Like, you're not rolling out PJ for spot minutes. You're not rolling him out in garbage time. You're keeping him healthy. You're keeping him ready. You're keeping him engaged. He's been great in the locker room. He's boys with James Harden and Russell Westbrook. There's that factor. I mean, if he's on the team after the deadline, I reported this week, like, I don't anticipate him being interested in a buyout. Dude has a player option for $11 million next year. He's not giving that up to sit on somebody else's bench.
No way. Yeah, no way.
You can sit on the Clippers bench for all that and make your decision and figure out what to do after that. Like, guys earn their player options. That's just how this league works. So I see all this stuff like, what if PJ Tucker gets bought out? It's like, well, he ain't getting bought out by this team. So someone's going to have to trade for him, and we'll figure out from there. But with PJ, it's like, he's not a starter, and he doesn't help you in second units. And other than that, keep him healthy and see what you can get in the next week.